In this video, you're going to learn how to use the Bezier pen tool. You can find it in the lower half of your toolbar. It looks like a blue pen. So go ahead and click on that, and we're going to start by just clicking in a few random places. You can see that each line segment is connected to the one before it. If we want to finish our line segment, we can hit the Enter button. Then, if we keep clicking around, we can start a new shape. Now, if I want to make a completed shape that then can be cut out by the laser cutter, all I have to do is click on my original start point. And now this is a complete shape. And this is great because now you can draw things fast, say for example a mountain range, that might take a little while to draw out using the polygon shape tools. But more importantly than our straight lines, we can now draw curved lines very easily and quickly. So this part is a little tricky, so you're going to want to pay attention very closely. If we want to draw a curved line segment, we will do it by clicking and dragging. Now this doesn't look like much first, but as soon as I let go, that point where I was dragging to actually becomes a control arm for my curved section. This red line here is actually my curved section of the line. Now it's only set when I choose my second point, and here again I'm clicking and dragging and I'm not letting go. And it's the red line that is my curved section. It's the blue line is just the points that allow me to determine where I want my red line to actually go. So don't be confused by them. Blue points are not your line. The red line is your line. And see, once this is set, it turns green, and the line that I am now working with as I click and drag around is that's my active line, the red line. So again, if I want to complete this shape, I can just click on this one that I started on, and it's done. You can see here that I have a straight line segment on one end and a curved line segment on the other end. This is created by doing a click and let go on one side of a shape and a click and a drag on the other. So I could make a basic leaf shape by going click, click, drag, click, click, drag, and then click. You can do the same sort of thing with a heart shape, where we go click, click, drag, click, drag, click, click, drag, click, drag, click. There will be a file that you can trace over in this week's lessons, and I highly recommend checking it out and practicing all of the shapes on there to really get the hang of this. As a test, to practice to make sure that you're getting the hang of drawing with the pen tool, I would recommend finding an image on the internet after you've done your practice shapes and pasting it into your scene and just tracing around the edges. So I chose this picture of a cat because I think cats are pretty cool. I'm clicking on my pen tool, and what I'll want to do is generally start at a point. I find that just a tiny bit easier. So I'll say that the nose, it's a little bit of a curve, but it's close enough to a point, so we'll start there. So I clicked once, and then I'm going to click and drag, and already I can see that my red line isn't going to be quite where I wanted it to be. I can either do Control Z to undo this and choose a different point, and yeah, that looks a little bit more like the line I want to go for. So now this green line is matched up along the cat's front of the cat's face. And then I'll choose another inflection point. This looks to be about halfway between this curve here and this curve here. So I'll click here and drag until the red line meets up at about the point in the cat's forehead. I'll let go, and then I'll keep going around, clicking and dragging, and really keeping an eye out for those points of inflection where the curve changes significantly. I don't want to have too many of these points all over, just because then it can get a little bit messy, but also I want enough to be able to capture the shape of the cat well. It's like everything else in this program, it's a balance. Ooh, we have a point right here, so I will just click and let go. And a little bit of a bump there, a little tiny down there, up. And so the further I drag out my handles, the longer this curve will have an effect over. So this is a bit of a tricky one because I have a long curve here and then a short one right here. And so just for example, I'm going to actually skip this area and I'll show you why in a little bit. I'm going to go down here first. We'll come back to over here in a bit. And also I can't really see where the cat's tail is at the end of this image, so I'm going to kind of fake it. And you might find when you're working on images and you want to copy an existing image and turn it into a line drawing that you have to do this too. And that's okay. You'll get better at being able to see what a shape should be once you've done more drawing. And oops, again here, that's not quite the curve I want, but we will come back to that. And it seems that we have a foot here, and then this other foot comes down, so that's why we're having a little bit of a sharp edge here. This is a fun way to create a name tag for your pet, or perhaps a little Christmas tree ornament that has your favorite pet or your friend's pets on it. Okay, so we reached the nose and we have our completed shape. And I'm going to change the stroke color so that way we can see it a little bit better, making it lighter. Okay. So let's see, I mentioned that this curve wasn't quite where I wanted it to be. There's an easy way we can change that by clicking over here in our toolbar on Edit Paths by Nodes. So once I've selected that, and as long as I'm selected on a path, all these little nodes will show up. These were the same ones that I was editing, or that I was creating earlier, but now I can see all of those arms that came off of the curved lines. So this one, I'm actually going to move it down closer to this bump in the tail, and I'm going to change both of the arms. So I'm going to make this one a little shorter. I'm also going to make this one a little shorter as well. Or actually, you know, I'll make this one longer and this one shorter because I want this one to have a shorter range and this one to have a longer range. And that might mean tweaking some of the ones that are around it to fit properly. Now, oops. If I can make a sharper point here if I wanted to, just as an example. And if for some reason my arms disappear, all I have to do is click on that node and they will come back. So I could make a point here. That's one way that you can make a really sharp point from your curves. But for the most part, most of what I do, I want to have nice smooth curves to it. So I won't be doing that in the middle of the cat's back. Alright, and then I think we saw a problematic piece here. So I really want this one to actually have one sharp edge and one curved edge. And I can look up here in my extra tools for the Edit Curves tool and see if one of these will do what I want it to. So let's see. We want to make that into a corner. Well, it actually did exactly what I wanted. So now I can adjust this so that way it looks more like a cat's foot. And I might adjust this too. This is a bit sharp of a point. Oh, and if my whole piece comes with me, again, all I have to do is click on this node and then I will only have selected that node. So I'll move these arms out a little bit more. We have our most flowing curves when each of the arms are parallel with each other. So as soon as they start to not be parallel, that's how we get a sharp corner. Okay, let's delete our image that's behind here, and oops, it's hard to delete when you're still selected on the points tool. We'll go back to our select tool and then try to delete it, and this looks like a great little silhouette of a cat.